Welcome to Inchworm. Wait, let me take that again. Welcome to Inchworm. No, I can't. I'm broken. Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we're inching through Worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
We read Prey 14.8. Who's the prey now, Taylor?
The miasma
chapter. The miasma chapter. This was one of the worst cliffhangers, I think.
Worst, but also best?
Yes, it's very good. But terrible that I have to stop on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is a you gotta stay up all night and read the rest of the arc moment.
Yeah, you gotta wait for Jack and Bonesaw to get defeated? ?
What do you mean? Jack and Bonesaw weren't in this chapter, were they?
Yeah, okay, so I think it's my turn to tell you what happened. Is that right?
Please, yes. Let's get into it.
I do just want to say, the twist. I did suspect it. Like, it occurred to me as a possibility when we first saw the blonde girl.
The blonde girl.
And I did become very suspicious at her first mention of a wide smile. And so I was suspicious the whole time, but I was not sure.
I know. I just think it's really well done.
It is very well done. It's also very well done on Jack and Bonesaw's part, but I'm sure anyone who hasn't read the book is very confused now, so let me tell you what happened in the chapter.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so we start with Taylor being reunited with the Unravelers. Tattletale wants the report. She is not convinced that Crawler and Mannequin are dead. And Taylor tells them that Legend told her to get out of there because Bonesaw is probably going to deploy the threat that she's been holding over their heads of some kind of biological weapon. So the Unravelers discuss what this could be. And Tattletale points out that Bonesaw sees herself as an artist. She's going to want to scare people, but be creative about it. And Tattletale thinks specifically she's going to want to scare Capes. She wants to scare the people that other people are afraid of. But it's probably not just disabling powers, because she already showed them that she can do that. And Tattletale points out that you have to think of her less as a scientist or doctor and more as a performer. They touch on how none of them have been drinking anything except bottled water. And Tattletale points out, and there'll be some strategic purpose behind whatever she does. And Gru cuts her off there and says, you're starting to get tunnel vision. And Tattletale's like, oh yeah, okay, when I get like this, I'm going to get false positives. So I told Gru to stop me when I'm doing it. And Taylor says, well, if we want to take countermeasures, we should find Panacea. Gru is skeptical. And as they're still discussing this, someone shouts a warning, and behind them, the water that has flooded the city is turning crimson and has started spreading incredibly quickly, and there's a thin red mist rising from it. Gru shouts to run. Taylor gets on Atlas. Everyone else is speeding away in the dogs except for Regent, who is flying with Shatterbird. And Taylor sees that the others aren't going fast enough. She has Sundancer cut off the water with her son, and the others get to high ground. Bentley jumps up the side of a building, but has trouble. He's not as practiced at this maneuver, and the water is rising too fast. Taylor makes a vapor barrier with her bugs to keep the vapor from rising as quickly, and they're able to get to the roof, the group on that dog, which is Tattletale, Trickster, and Sundancer. But the mist is still rising, so they make a plan to get to a higher building. Taylor flies over on Atlas. Trickster swaps her with someone. She flies over on Atlas again. She doesn't trust herself to have Atlas carry anyone else yet. So they all get to this higher roof, but the mist is still rising, the miasma, as Tattletale calls it. And Taylor's like, well, there's an even higher building over there. And Tattletale's like, there wouldn't be a point. This mist is not going to stop, and I'm not just guessing on that. They're still not sure what it does. Taylor's really worried about the other group. They're on a lower rooftop that has a glass dome, but it has gaps in it, so the miasma's going to get inside. And Tattletale says, you have to leave us, take your gun, go find the rest of the 9. If they're ever going to let their guards down, it'll be now. You could take out Jack and Bonesaw. Taylor's like, nope, I'm going to get you to higher ground. Tattletale thinks that's dumb, and if she can't go after the 9, she should at least go find Panacea. But Taylor wants to try a maneuver of going to another rooftop, gathering bugs, and having Trickster swap people for bugs. So she goes to the other rooftop, Trickster swaps out Sundancer, but then he doesn't bring Taylor back, And she realizes that he has basically given up. Like, there just isn't going to be a way for this plan to work. So she and Sundancer are on this other roof, and Sundancer says, you can go. I'll use my power. I guess that will keep me safe. But she does hate being alone. She talks about how she's never really been alone in her life, and the worst thing she's faced recently was managing her own territory. It's actually the hardest thing for her. They watch as the miasma closes around Tattletale and Trickster. Nothing obvious happens. Taylor tells Sundancer that people are stronger than you'd think. We kind of can survive whatever's thrown at us. And Sundancer's like, I don't know if I'd be that optimistic. And Taylor's like, I don't think it's optimism. Kind of sucks surviving this stuff. And then she sees Sundancer create her orb. Tattletale and Trickster still aren't doing anything, and Taylor doesn't know what this miasma is doing. She rises above it. The water of the bay hasn't changed, so that's kind of nice. Maybe the salt is killing the effect. She sees that there are some islands in the city, and because those are also the spots with less water, she's hoping civilians won't be as affected. And then she sees that Legend is shooting. She's like, oh, okay, he's fighting. And she goes over, and he's not fighting the 9. He's shooting at his teammates, but he doesn't seem to be shooting lethally. And everyone seems to be kind of hiding, putting distance between themselves and others. And she's like, oh, some kind of paranoia? She sees Vista lift herself up on a bulge of ground to get to a rooftop. And Taylor wants to know what's going on, so she goes and tries to talk to Vista. And Vista's like, no, go away, and won't listen to Taylor's reassurances. Vista tries to scare Taylor with another kind of bulging column of earth, and Taylor, in avoiding it, goes closer to the rooftop with Vista on it because she doesn't want to fall off of Atlas onto the ground. But of course that scares Vista more, and she ends up toppling some earth to try to hit Taylor, which gets Legend's attention. So Legend comes up, and Taylor tries to talk to him, but he shoots her, knocks her off of Atlas, and onto the rooftop, which is pretty painful for Taylor. And that means that Taylor's in the miasma. Yeah. And while she's down, Vista pins her with a section of rooftop. So she's kind of crushed, and only her head and shoulders are sticking out. And Vista and Legend kind of trade jabs back and forth, like they don't really seem to know who the others are. And Taylor's like, what do I know about this girl? Who is she? And she realizes that she's missing something, some sort of memories, but she doesn't seem to have general brain damage. She can still, do math in her head. She remembers a lot about herself, her name, her parents' names, her biographical details. She knows she's a member of the Undersiders. She tries to picture how her mother would react to her right now, and she can't picture anything. She can't remember her dad. She can't remember the other Undersiders. She knows they exist, but all of the information about them, personalities, mannerisms, faces, costumes, powers, are all gone. She remembers the things she did with them, but she can't fill the people into the events. She realizes she can't even remember who the 9 are, any details about them. She's like, oh, okay. This makes sense of the tactics I saw Legend using. She can kind of remember the events that just happened. So she remembers seeing Legend shooting at his teammates. She's like, okay, yeah, because you don't know who anyone is, so he wants to take everyone out of action with as little permanent damage as possible, because any of them could be the 9. Taylor reflects on, okay, Sundancer worries about being alone. Now we are all alone. We can't trust anyone. And oh, this is going to screw us over. We can't fight the 9 if we're all fighting as individuals. She tries to ask Legend to help her out of her trap on the rooftop. She thinks he might seem more nervous, more paranoid than amnesia would justify. She's like, I wonder if drinking the city's water would have exaggerated this effect or created side effects. Basically, he just tells her to stay. She spends a lot of time wriggling her way out of the rooftop, ends up destroying some of her armor doing it, but does finally get out, manages to load some of her stuff that had fallen when she got knocked onto the roof back into her sort of diminished costume, gets back on Atlas, and flies away to see what's going on. She doesn't know what to do, so she starts helping the wounded, but she feels really lost. She doesn't know who's the enemy and who's a friend. She doesn't have service on her phone. She sees a monster bigger than a car. She thinks it could be one of Bitch's dogs or it could be Crawler. She can't recognize things right now. Can't recognize entities. So she creates a bunch of decoy swarms and manages to escape from the monster, whether it was Crawler or a dog, who knows. And then someone calls Skitter. There's a blonde girl waving at her. Taylor aims a gun at her, smile drops off her face, and she says, "It's me, Tattletale." She says she got here on the dog. It's not as affected as we are. The effect is more for people. She says everyone else is hiding, but I do have Gru with me. And Taylor asks, is this amnesia? And Tattletale says it's agnosia. We haven't forgotten, we just can't access the knowledge. She says it's probably prions. In a really bad case, she says it would cause lesions in the brain and give you hallucinations. And it lasts forever. It is incurable and terminal. Taylor says, okay, but Panacea could fix it. And Tattletale's like, yeah, there's hope. Let's grab Gru and formulate a plan. And Taylor hesitates to follow her. She doesn't want to put down her gun. And Tattletale's like, yeah, okay, I get not trusting me, but we don't have much time. This is going to progress quickly. And it could get uglier. If we're going to save everyone, we need Amy, and for that, we need to ask Cherish. Taylor doesn't remember who that is, and Tattletale's like, you know, we captured a member of the Nine. And Taylor's trying to remember these events. It's pretty fuzzy. And then Gru comes out, says, is it safe? And says, this is Skitter, and Tattletale introduces them. Skitter, this is Gru. She can't recognize him. It doesn't seem like he recognizes her. And she's pointing a gun at them. And Tattletale says, we need to get you to trust me. What's going to do that? Taylor tries to get her to talk about a fight with Empire 88's mooks. And Tattletale says, I don't remember that. And Taylor's like, oh, was she even there for that? She can't remember who was there. And Tattletale apologizes, says it's affecting her too. And then she says, you can keep the gun. I'll keep my hands above my head. Gru, stand back. And she gets on her knees and walks through the flooded street until her forehead is pressed against the barrel of the gun and gives Taylor the speech about how, like, I trust you. I know I'm a pain in the ass. I keep a lot of secrets, but I trust you. What does your heart tell you? And Taylor's like, I don't know. It's really not telling me much. And she's like, I don't know. I don't think that's good enough reason for me to trust you. And the guy, Gru, suggests going ahead without her. She could go somewhere safe. And Taylor's like, no, I mean, I do want to help. And Gru's like, yeah, I mean, I get that you're scared and suspicious. I feel the same way, except I trust Tattletale. And Taylor's like, I mean, yes, I trust Tattletale. If I could be sure this was Tattletale, I would trust her too. And Gru says to trust your heart. And that this doesn't work. We're going to lose the fight. And everything we've been through against the Nine will be pointless if we can't get through this. And he asks her if he can act from his heart. And he steps in close and gives her a hug. And it feels awkward to her, but she's like, okay, but that also feels right. Like, that makes it feel real. And she's like, okay, I feel like I can't doubt him now. I would be so angry at myself after all this if I did. And Tattletale's like, okay, priority number 1, we get in contact with Cherish, and then we can decide if we want to track down Panacea or go after the Nine. And she tells Taylor to keep checking her cell phone, and when she has service, call Coyle. Our boss, since he's hidden away, he won't be affected. He'll be able to fill us in on the details that the agnosia has blocked from us. And she says, like, it's not the end of the world after all. She smiles. Taylor's like, okay. She's really uncomfortable. She hates it. This reminds her of being at school. And she says, sooner we're fucking cured of this miasma, the better. And then Tattletale turns around and says, hey, don't swear. And that's the end of the chapter.
It was Bonesaw all along?
It was Bonesaw all along.
Well, maybe it's Bonesaw and Gru, right?
So I was, as soon as it was a blonde girl, I was like, okay, it could be Tattletale, it could be Bonesaw, but, like, she was doing a real good performance. So, like, everything, I was like, this does feel like Tattletale, but, like, a wide smile? Like, that's a lot of smiling. Tattletale does smile a lot, but she also, like, grins. Like, grinning is the verb that's used for her much more often. And once Gru showed up, I was suspicious because she didn't describe him as a black man. Like, she described the Tattletale character as a blonde girl, and I feel like there was just no descriptor.
Yeah, it would have been harder, I think, for Wildbow to have, like, here's a physical descriptor that fits both man or man and boy. But, like, or even if Brian's in his costume, right? Like, he's in motorcycle leathers with a helmet.
I mean, the real thing is that, like, he would have been shrouded in darkness the whole time. His darkness is so tied to his emotional state. And just the fact that he wasn't in a cloud of darkness this entire time was just, like, incredibly improbable.
Yeah.
And, like, you're never gonna get Brian saying, like, don't be cautious, trust your heart. Like,
just in this chapter earlier, he has that thing where he's talking to Aisha and he's like, you better prepare for the worst, because then you won't be surprised. And Aisha's like, I've heard that before. Which I was like, it works either if she's heard it from Brian or from, like, their dad.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
it's a bit, but, like, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. It was just a very un-Brian-like speech. Like, I could sort of maybe buy that from Tattletale. If she thinks that'll be convincing to Taylor, she would say that, like, trust your heart. But Brian falling in on the same messaging of trust your heart, like, it just wasn't. And it was so creepy to realize that she was getting hugged by Jack Slash. Like, ugh.
It's so awful. Ugh. It's so awful.
Yeah, we don't actually we get proof that Bonesaw isn't Bonesaw. Like, she could have grew along with her, but I think that he would have dark. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I can't see the two of them splitting up right now.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly they want to, like, get Cherish and get out of town. Like, they've done their damage. Time to bounce. And they need one of the Unravelers. They don't need two. Like, Bonesaw wouldn't bother with Gru and Skitter. If she had Gru, she'd just stick with Gru. So,
and real quick, why Cherish? Why do they want to go through one of the Unravelers to Cherish?
Oh, I mean, I was just assuming that she's the only other one alive.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she's... Shatterbird, they could try to get back, but, like, that's not going to be easy. Regent presumably hasn't been affected by the miasma. He, like, flew away. Maybe that would be their next step. Maybe they try to do that.
Right.
But, like,
so it's not like using Cherish. It's like to find out where Cherish is so they can go to her.
Yeah, presumably they want to get Cherish and go out of town. I am curious, like, it seemed like Cherish's position in the 9 was, like, hanging by a thread anyway. Like...
Yeah, I mean, they all but promised the fate worse than death, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's possible they just don't want to leave her as a loose end, and they will kill her, or they'll bring her with them to torture her. Like, but I don't think they'd leave town without her when she's technically one of them. So presumably Siberian is somewhere, but, like, isn't going to be as easily passed off as a member of the Unravelers, so it's not gonna be with them. Presumably she's nearby. And I think we lost everyone else. Like, we don't really know that Crawler and Mannequin are dead, but
I love that Tattletale
has my reaction.
Has your reaction of, I'm not gonna believe it till I see the body. And then we get the beat in the chapter where, like, the readers think Crawler is dead, but when Taylor sees the monster, we don't know.
Yeah,
like, we don't know it's not Crawler.
It didn't sound like Crawler.
Based on the fact that it doesn't immediately cover Taylor in acid, right? Like, it's almost certainly one of the dogs, but, like, I love that we have that a little bit of, like, wait, could it be Crawler? Like, it puts us in the headspace of, like, second-guessing ourselves.
Yeah. But if Crawler and Mannequin are dead, Burnscar was already dead. Who else did we lose? So there are 5 of them. Oh, yeah. So the 5 of them are Jack, Bonesaw, Cherish, Shatterbird, and Siberian.
Yeah.
And presumably they want to leave town with all 5 of those people.
Yeah.
And Cherish, I guess, is their first stop. Yeah, it was pretty thin as, like, reasoning that, like, we need to find Panacea, so we need to find Cherish first. It was like, well, maybe you could just find Panacea. Like, I guess maybe that might be hard, but... Like, Tattletale had told her to go find Panacea and hadn't seemed to think you need to find Cherish first for that, so... Certainly,
Cherish has the only power that we know of that is, locate people.
Track down. Right, it's true. Yeah. It's true.
She can hear everybody's location.
Yeah. Maybe it's naive to think that Taylor could have found Panacea without that. I guess, yeah, how would she have if she's holed up with Glory Girl somewhere?
Especially if everyone has agnosia.
Right. Right. No one's gonna, like, know where she is, and Taylor won't recognize her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack and Bonesaw are very good actors in this. Like, major credit to Taylor also for not really trusting them.
Yeah. Yeah, well...
You do such a good job.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I feel like I want to give Wildbow a little more credit than I want to give Bonesaw. Right? Because I feel like it's all very plausible. Like, the fact that Bonesaw knows all of the details.
Right, of course.
You know, maybe she goes a little bit too much into the prion of it all, you know, compared to what Lisa would say. But it's very plausible that Tattletale can cheat the miasma in this way, right? Yeah. So, like, that all kind of makes sense. But
yeah, she did a great job of IDing Tattletale's power, like, understanding it.
Something that's plausible, right? But some of the things, you pointed out the grin and the smile, and I feel like tracking that Bonesaw isn't funny. She doesn't have Lisa's kind of
she's not dry.
Yeah, she doesn't have any of that humor
she's
or
kind
snark.
Of perky and so it's not the end of the world after all. Like that didn't sound like Lisa.
That the open-heartedness when Taylor's like, Panacea could fix it, and then she nodded, then smiled wide. There's hope, right?
Yeah, that was very, very
out of character. Yeah. And it's a little bit like almost Bonesaw's naivete and open-heartedness, her childlike persona, and probably a little bit of like what she's going for with the miasma is like, oh yeah, well this is incurable and terminal. Like they're all going to die, but like I want them to have hope as they're like suffering through it, right? And so she's like lighting up because she's like, yeah, of course, you know.
I mean, I don't know that it's incurable and permanent. Like, that's what Bonesaw wants Taylor to believe. It could be that this would pass in a few hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we should talk more. We should circle back to like, why did Bonesaw do it this way? And what's going to happen?
She just really wanted the fic trope of amnesia.
Bonesaw as a lover of tropes. Delightful. The other thing, so Bonesaw's plea, where she gets on her knees and shuffles through the water to Taylor. I cannot imagine Lisa doing this. This is another moment that in retrospect is like
Lisa
obviously
doesn't get like super vulnerable like that.
Yeah, and right, the whole like what's your heart telling you thing, it doesn't make sense. Tattletale's gonna be like, don't be stupid, right? Like she's gonna be like, listen to me.
I mean, like I said, I could see her saying that to convince someone that she thought would be convinced by it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not a good argument for Taylor, so
and this is another example, I think, of maybe it's very telling. Bonesaw is unguarded, and she's a little, again, naive, open-hearted, and she's going with this pitch to Taylor of, like, just trust your heart, you know? And, you know, Taylor's not that person.
Right,
and she's not that person, especially if she is reverting to her school persona when she was a bully victim, when she was isolated, right? Like, of course she is not going to be trusting of other people, right? Like, part of how she has grown as a person is because she's had all of these friendships. And so now, like, having all of those threads cut, she's really reverting to this. And the bit where she's like, if I could believe she was Tattletale,
I would trust her.
Right. Yeah. She's just like
that makes perfect sense.
It's not the thing. I love that Taylor calls out the trope of like, at the end of the day, you would just know which one's your friend and which one's the evil clone. And Taylor's like, no, I wouldn't know. I'm going to point my gun at both of them. Right? Like, I need some proof here. Right? Like, she does not have that like soft, gooey center in her. Right? Like that Taylor at her core has some of this kind of like very rational suspicion of other people, especially when she's, you know, isolated like this. And I loved that we get this contrast between Bonesaw and Jack, where Bonesaw's like, just, you know, believe, open your heart. And Bonesaw kind of wants it to be fair. It's a little bit of like, I've set up this scenario and I'm going to like make this offer to you. And will you take my hand, Taylor? And Jack plays into like darker emotions and he like forces the issue. He's like, oh, maybe we'll just leave you here. Oh, like, okay, you're not going to act. Well, let me. And he hugs her and kind of like takes the action that puts her in this position of like, oh, well, it's not waiting for me to choose, because again, early Taylor, very passive, right? But like being embraced, having the issue forced, she's like, oh, well, I'm kind of stuck. And now my passivity errs on the side of like going with them. And so he's not sort of playing fair in the same way. He's manipulating the situation. He's pushing more buttons to try and get her to come along. It's funny that
like, we'll leave you is like a threat. I was thinking of it as like, something they don't want, but he's offering it because it'll make it seem more realistic. But you're right that it's not something she would want at this moment, to be left even more alone. Yeah. I love how this whole scenario just like really cuts to the heart of the themes of this work.
I know.
It's the power of friendship. Like, It's such, like, when you say the power of friendship, it sounds like a very corny, like, after-school special, like, 20-minute animated TV show thing, but...
You could not get away with saying, like, one of the core themes of Worm is the power of friendship, because it just doesn't, like, fit tonally, but it is kind of one of the core themes of the Worm. It's the power of
connection.
Exactly.
It's how many people together can do things that, you know, one person or like many people apart cannot.
Yeah.
And Taylor realizes that. She's like, oh, we're screwed. Yeah. And that's kind of what we had to a lower degree when Hookwolf undermined the unity of all the villains and heroes against the Slaughterhouse Nine. Like, the Unravelers all working together were incredibly effective against the Nine. But imagine how much more effective they could have been if they'd actually been working with the other groups, if the heroes hadn't had all those stupid plans, if like, what Legend says to her is, like, you know, sometimes you were working, you know, not optimally for what I was doing, or you were hindering, but, like, mostly helpful. Like, they could have actually been working together. Mm-hmm. And it's, of course, the thing we were saying about, like, who would join the Nine? Someone who doesn't have friends. And it seems like, you know, Taylor did manage to pull Bitch back into believing she had friends well enough to keep her from going down that path.
Yeah, Bitch doesn't have those connections right now, or she knows she had them, but she doesn't know who they belong to.
Well, true, but I mean, I don't feel like the Nine are recruiting actively right now.
No, of course. I'm just saying that's the...
Yeah, but no, none of them have that. Yeah.
The reason I brought that up was because it's interesting thinking again about, like, why Bonesaw is doing this. You know, it's a flex of her power. It's so horrifying that she can do this. And it's so torturous to all of the Capes. But I feel like it's almost a sign of weakness, because the Unravelers were doing
she's kind of
so
saying, like,
well.
oh yeah, together you would beat me, so I have to isolate you.
And they're powered by their bonds in different ways,
the power
right?
Combinations.
Like Taylor kind of like being the heart of the Undersiders by force, right? And the Travelers with whatever their codependent connection is, right? Like, they really...
And them all trusting each other because they're working under...
They have, like, unified and proven themselves to be as strong as, if not stronger than, the Nine.
Yeah.
And the recruitment piece of it is, like, the Nine's recruitment drive failed spectacularly.
Yeah.
And it really failed over and over again. You know, they targeted this group, but the people in this group, right, like, Cherish is like, oh, Regent, you know, like, you'll never be able to connect to anyone, but, like, actually you have friends now, right? The same thing you said with Bitch.
Yeah.
Even with Hookwolf, right? He's like, I like Hookwolf my cronies better than you guys.
Yeah.
So it's
even
terrifying.
Colin has dragon.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my god. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, this is the punishment, but it's a little bit of that, you know, it really is I'm flipping the table because I'm not going to win.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, you have proven something, which is the power of connections to other people, the power of friendship.
Right.
But
it's like proof
I don't like that lesson. So I'm gonna I'm just gonna cheat. I'm gonna erase all those things, and then I'm gonna run away.
Yeah. I was curious. There's such a point about, like, they didn't drink the water. I wonder if the water was protective. Like, if you'd been drinking the water in Brockton Bay. Because, like, I don't know that the heroes got the same message about, like, don't drink the water. But, like, it's possible that all of the Capes got this message. None of them have been drinking the water. And all of the normal people have been drinking the water and therefore are protected from this. And, like, their own paranoia has led to this paranoia. And, like, because wouldn't it be wild if, like, only the Capes fall apart under this thing?
Yeah, that would be a really interesting part of, like, getting into the why is Bonesaw doing this. If the point is to make
the Capes seem deranged to, like, other people.
Right, make all Capes seem like the Slaughterhouse Nine, kind of, is, like, a really interesting play. I do feel like there are some things... So, one... They only told the Unravelers about the water in the sense of, we want our recruits to not drink the water. That's kind of what they were implying. Mm-hmm. The only recruits who could have told the heroes were Colin and Amy, and we kind of know that they didn't.
Right, okay.
And I did go back to check. Taylor does, you know, give them some warnings when she talks to the heroes with Trickster in that one scene, but she doesn't mention don't drink the water.
So probably.
And then we did have, I think Bonesaw was kind of saying, with more exposure, it starts with agnosia, but then it leads to paranoia. It leads to hallucinations, and eventually, like, brain lesions and death.
Yeah.
And Taylor notes multiple times, like, Vista and Legend are acting, like, weirder than, I would be, like, relative to these symptoms. Yeah. So there is some evidence that...
Yeah, it's true. I wasn't sure if it was just like, well, she can't really gauge their behavior properly, and she hasn't been exposed for as long, Well,
right, but I think even by the end of the chapter, I mean, I don't see... In Taylor's altered consciousness bit... You could maybe make the case that her lack of trust in them is paranoia. It feels more like it's her personality.
Reasonable caution, honestly.
Whereas, like, the sort of, like Vista is almost, like, hyperventilating and overreacting. Yeah. She really focuses on Legend's face and is like, this just seems wrong. Like, it seems like something is worse than I would expect here. Yeah. Which tracks a little bit with, like, the theory of more exposure versus less exposure.
You're right. Yeah. Okay.
But who knows? And I really like the angle on the capes versus non-capes. We don't see any non-capes. Mm-hmm. We do get the sort of, like, well, hopefully most of the civilians won't be affected because, the parts of the city that are still water infested are the ones where all the fighting is happening and all the capes are.
Yeah.
It reminded me a little bit of, like, the Leviathan conflict, which was like, so many capes died, but they actually saved a lot of civilians.
Yeah.
And this is, again, another, like, the capes are on the front lines. Mm-hmm. They're all getting hit with the miasma, and hopefully most of the civilians are unaffected.
We'll see. I mean, if the civilians are also affected, like, there's no way Amy can heal all those people. Like, that's way too many people. Ooh. Even just the capes, if Bonesaw is telling the truth when she says, like, we're talking about hours for the progression of the disease, how are they going to get to Amy, have her cure, like, track down everyone who won't trust her, of course, and, like, have her cure them? Like, that doesn't feel practical.
Well, what's the
alternative?
Can I invite some predictions?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that this is all going to be permanent. That feels like it would be weird.
So Bonesaw bluffing.
Bonesaw bluffing is a possibility. Before. Oh, I mean, I can't imagine that nothing will undo it, and it'll happen. It'll be like this for the rest of the story. Like, what a weird story that would be. Yeah, but you're right that Bonesaw could be bluffing, or somehow they get Bonesaw over a barrel and get her to make an antidote. That doesn't sound realistic.
That was a little bit... We're a little bit in the groove in the freezer thing, which is like, Amy will do it. Bonesaw will do it. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe neither of those things will happen.
Right. I mean, Gru can borrow Bonesaw's power, but Bonesaw's power is cerebral, so it's not very likely. Yeah. Gru can borrow Amy's power, but again, like, that's not hugely helpful. He'd have the same trouble she would using it to save people, and he'd be much worse at it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do feel like it's probably going to be something that we haven't thought of yet. By we, I mean me.
Now, let's put it another way. There's the version of this where it's temporary for everyone. And there's the version of it where you're saying, like, how could Panacea manage to cure everyone in time kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have to be the case that everybody is cured or everybody is cured at once.
Yes, that is a very good point. I guess it's vaguely plausible, though it definitely shoots a hole in my she's going to just keep Victoria as a sex slave forever and they're going to fly around as a villain duo theory. But if Amy just cures as many people as she can and, like, keeps doing it over a few days and, not everyone has the same level of exposure. Some people might have more damage before they get cured. Some people might not make it.
I heard Amy was looking for a job. That's just what she said.
And she does brains now, so...
That's actually another good point, because this is a brain problem.
This is a brain problem.
Amy's going to have to get over the whole brain stuff thing pretty fast if she's going to help.
Well, she's messing with Victoria's brain right now, so... Ooh. Yeah, I honestly don't see a viable solution that isn't Panacea, and you're right that it wouldn't have to be like, she cures everyone in the next 5 hours. But I don't know that anyone could do it except for her.
Yeah, I do feel like the way that the miasma slowly consumes everyone except for Taylor, like, fills me with such a sense of dread.
Yeah.
But the plot armor consideration comes in where you're like, unceremoniously bitch and imp and ballistic and everyone.
Gru.
Yeah, Gru. They all get hit with the miasma, and you're like, well, they're not all gonna keel over right away. No. And then when it hits Trickster and Tattletale again, you're like, oh god, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna start attacking each other? And then they just stand there, and you're like, somehow that's worse. It's so awful. Yeah. So yeah, but that doesn't mean the threat of any of those people getting stuck this way or getting a really serious injury, or in the chaos getting attacked and hurt by each other or another cape, right? There's still a lot of threat here, but it's not the sort of if you fall into the mist, you die very soon,
right? Definitely
that
not.
Can't be the only story beat that we're going for here. And then Taylor falls in, so
yeah, she's obviously not going to die very soon, probably.
Yeah,
it would be fascinating if especially one of the travelers wasn't cured or somehow couldn't be cured, just because their bonds to each other are the defining feature of their group. The Undersiders, they trust each other to varying degrees, but they're not in it because of each other. So yeah, if Ballistic can't remember the rest of the Travelers, then what's that going to do to their group?
Oh yeah,
I mean, it'd be worse if it was Trickster.
Yeah,
Sundancer I guess is going to be fine, but what if none of the rest of the Travelers remember her and she is actually very alone?
Oh no,
she doesn't like being alone. She spent her whole childhood at dance classes.
Yeah, and I mean that was also such a good thematic foreshadowing of what was about to happen, right? And I don't know that we've speculated much about her trigger trauma, but this is a fascinating, she hates being alone, and in part it's because she was always busy as a kid, so it's she doesn't like being alone with her thoughts.
I just love that she was a theater and art kid. She was what was it, ballet, violin, singing lessons,
voice and
modern
acting.
Dance. Yeah. She was a stage kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was also thinking, right, she summons the sun, right, which is literally you're a star, but then also the reality of being a star is very lonely and just sort of blinding, driving other people away or, isolating.
Forget the thing I said by accident a while back. She's the one who's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and
she's also blonde, but I can't imagine she would lie and say she was Tattletale, so it's probably not her.
Yeah, and I do wonder if sitting in her sun is enough. And also,
maybe
if her trigger trauma is being alone and she's feeling alone, that should make her more powerful, and maybe she can burn off the miasma for longer. But I don't know. I was interested though that Coil splitting up the Travelers into territories was messing with Marissa kind of the same way it was messing with the Undersiders. So again, to the point of the Unravelers are really defined by their bonds to each other, right? Coil was intentionally it wasn't all about Taylor. He's I gotta get these people all separate. It makes sense for the Travelers as much as the Undersiders.
Speaking of Coil, now, I'm assuming that it's never going to matter in the narrative that Coil has the two timelines, because we're never going to read about a timeline that didn't happen. Except for that deleted chapter.
Right.
Way back when. But I do have to wonder, is it just there's miasma?
I don't know. I've been saying it both ways. So now I can't get out of the episode without someone telling me I'm saying it wrong. But there's hope for you, Jenny. Decide now and commit.
Is there miasma in both of his timelines now? He probably wouldn't have seen this coming specifically enough to be able to split around it. And what timeline could he have created where Bonesaw didn't, drop the weapon?
Right. And his timelines are defined by stuff he does.
Right.
And so if he is just sitting in his base, it's going to be pretty limited. He can call out to the field, but the phones are down. The phones are all down.
Yeah, that's true. Did he have their back for this fight tonight? I don't remember them talking to him about it, but presumably...
The last time Coil was around, he said, "You'll have my power." I don't know. Okay. Maybe that was even last arc, but
I'm willing to bet that he didn't make a change big enough in either timeline to prevent the miasma.
Yeah.
So probably it's just, we're stuck with miasma now. He can't cancel that timeline. But if they do go interact with him, I wonder if he'll be able to do anything to prevent Bonesaw and Jack using Taylor to get to Cherish.
Interesting.
And presumably they would also like to kill Taylor. They would like to kill Coyle. Like, they would love to, do a little more murder on their way out, probably.
Yeah. I
mean, especially, like, the fact that Bonesaw goes for Skitter, like, probably could have used any Unraveler except for Tattletale. I bet Tattletale would have seen through her. And, I mean, she's best at impersonating Tattletale, so that would have been a bad choice. But I bet she chose Skitter because Skitter has done them so much damage. And I think they kind of know. Like, I think they're smart enough to not underestimate Taylor.
No, that's really interesting, the idea that they would have singled her out.
Yeah.
I mean, they do like to do things intentionally, so I buy that.
I mean, she's the one who defeated Mannequin several times. I guess they don't really know what she did and what the others did, but I want them to think she's the best one. Because that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Lisa really called it at the beginning of the chapter when she said that, like, Bonesaw's going to want to do something spectacular, something that will scare Capes in particular, and hurt Capes in particular, something that we haven't seen her do before, and that it's going to have a strategic purpose behind it, because now they can get out of town without, anyone knowing who they are.
Yeah, and they can kind of, because they're unaffected, they can kind of run around and play. Like, they can just do whatever they
so
want.
So fun for that, yeah.
I was thinking a lot also about the thematic similarity to the Merchants party and, like, the Merchants as a gang, right? Like, the anarchy and violence and sort of everyone's out for themselves attitude. And one of the really almost inspiring things here is that I guess it sounds like maybe things are getting more and more violent with the Capes, but everybody's initial impulse is paranoid, yes, but also cautious. Like, Legend is stunning people. Right. Vista could easily have squashed Skitter flat, but instead she just attempts to encase her in stone and imprison her, right? And Taylor's impulse, right, is, well, maybe I'm helping Bonesaw right now, but there's this girl, I guess, like Flechette, maybe, who
probably the only other girl there.
But, like, I'm gonna get her so that she doesn't drown, and I feel like I need to help, right?
I loved that moment where Taylor's like, I didn't know what to do, so I started helping the wounded. I was like, of course you did, you did, Taylor.
But I think that she's not the only one, like, as bad as, and again, it's like,
you're right. It doesn't bring out the worst in them.
Taylor's sort of, like, takeaway or some of the stuff that she's thinking about in Dark Moments in the Merchant arcs is like, this is like people, people who are choosing to throw off, their, like, revert to their sort of like baser instincts.
And but no one's really doing that.
You see a lot of people, they're not doing it. And if Vista and Legend are like hallucinating, right? Like, and that's what's sending them over the edge into violence, right? It's kind of like, you're not really proving a point about humanity at all.
I mean, she's proving the point that, like, people are really stronger together and that you have to use biological weapons to keep them from that strength. Otherwise they will find it.
Yeah. I was happy to see at the beginning of the chapter sort of the way Taylor summarizes her conversation with Legend from the last chapter was, like, a lot more reasonable than I thought it was at the time. Where she's kind of like, well, he was kind of intimidating and, like, the heroes are in pursuit. It wasn't like Legend was saying, nobody should try to attack Jack and Bonesaw anymore. He was kind of like, I got this.
Right.
And then, Taylor and Greer were kind of like,
out they don't got
we'll be backup. Well, yeah, but, like, like, it was better than just sort of like, well, we had our one shot and now we're just going to wait until they do.
True.
Because I think we were a little bit like, you gotta go. I think I sort of
misinterpreted
you gotta go.
Well, saying.
Yeah, I felt the same way, but then I was glad, It's also like, as you said earlier, it would have been much better if they had embraced full collaboration. But given that Legend and Skitter haven't trained together, like we saw with Weld, like, it's hard without practice.
Yeah, true.
Even Armsmaster was waiting for a clear field against Leviathan because he had his like limited training data.
Yeah.
Also, Taylor, so many good moments. I love when she's like, I hate tinkers. People with enhanced senses and tinkers. And fire manipulators. It's like a classic escalation. And then she's like, "Oh, sorry, Sundancer." And Sundancer shrugs. So funny. And then how she copes, even in the face of losing all of her friends. There are so many moments of, like, she sees that Gru and Bitch, like, their rooftop is gone. But then she's focused on Tattletale. She's like, I can still save Lisa, right? Yeah. And
she has that whole speech about, like, people cope with stuff, and that's not always good, but we do.
I feel like breaking down and crying over the fact that just about every other member of my team is probably fucked, but I'm holding myself together, right? Like, she is coping. She isn't breaking down. And, like, and she's even being, like, open with Sundancer about it. She's thinking of Gru and Bitch as Brian and Rachel in her head. She even says Rachel out loud to Lisa at one point instead of calling her Bitch.
I loved the moment when Bentley's trying to jump up the building and it's Trickster, Sundancer, and Tattletale on his back. And, you know, she realizes the miasma's going to go over them and she thinks, Tattletale.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Her people. And then they get stripped from her.
I just loved... There's this great line from Taylor in that speech to Sundancer. We can endure a hell of a lot of punishment before we break. And even after we're broken, we tend to keep on going. Yeah. And Sundancer's like, well, I don't think it's time for optimism. And Taylor's like, no. That's a double-edged sword.
I mean, that's really counterpoint to Jack, right? Jack's like, I want to see people break. And Taylor's like, after we break, we keep on going.
But Taylor's point is also, the 9 kept on going. And now there's such a problem, right? Like, if Mannequin's reaction to his family dying had just been to give up,
that's such a good
he
point.
Wouldn't have gone on, you know. Yeah. And it is really like Jack and his targeting of keystones, right, is very much like, I want to break people so that they can keep on going in, like, fun and interesting broken ways.
That's such a good point.
And there's something that's very, like, core, I think, to the appeal of the final girl trope in the horror genre to this. And it's the tension of, like, you know, watching somebody have all of this bad stuff happen to them and them getting through it. And then a little bit of that, like, sitting with, well, how are they going to shake all of this off? Yeah. Like, I feel like one of the best horror movies is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I wouldn't even say that that movie has a final girl because it's like before the trope was, like, really established. But it does have that kind of feeling at the end of, like, okay, well, can you get through all of this and still recover from it? Yeah. And you can choose to have a more optimistic view of it as like, you know, there's some catharsis in that ending, or you can choose to be like, oh no, this is, like, incredibly grim and, like, some things get broken and can't be fixed. And that tension, I feel like, is something that this work is inherently grappling with just the way that people's powers work, right? Everybody has
such a good point. You got a little bit broken, and how do you go
of their personality,
forward?
And the narrative wants to keep throwing you back into that situation over and over and over again. As we're seeing with Taylor here, it's like, how is she going to...
She's back at school.
Right.
Yeah.
How is she going to behave?
She's alone. She doesn't know who she can trust.
I don't agree with Taylor. Like, I feel like I'm really on the side of, I really admire, and it feels so human that people persevere, even if it is twisted and broken sometimes. But, like, I don't relate at all to the idea of, like, it would be better if people just, like, gave up. You know, like I feel like that's something, but I understand the place that she's coming from. It's almost like if people were less like people and more like, you know, my disposable bugs. Maybe. Oh my gosh. Did you catch Taylor trying to get herself out from captivity on the roof, where she's like, I'm so skinny and yet I am not skinny enough. Like,
if only I didn't have these tiny boobs.
She thinks, I could inch myself out. Do you know what that makes her?
An inchworm?
An inchworm.
Yes.
This is the chapter where
we finally arrived at the true inchworm.
The true inchworm. 150 episodes in.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we really are that far, aren't we? Wow.
Yeah. And it's like halfway episode-wise.
Wow.
Yeah, a little less, I think.
You should have a halfway party.
Yeah, halfway party. Stay tuned. I was devastated by the role Taylor's mom plays here as like, oh God, the thing that hurts me the most is, right, despite all the factors saying like, oh, powers and trauma or whatever, right? Again, I'm always so attentive to times when Taylor thinks about her mom. Yeah. Because again, she's like, no, my trigger event was the second worst day of my life. Right. And so like the heart, like I love Danny, but she's like, and I couldn't remember my dad either. Right? Like it's...
Right, well, she'll at least get to form new memories with him.
The little moments I'd clung to over the past 2 years, they were gone.
Yeah, that's just not a way you tend to think about people who are still alive, like treasuring those moments, because you just, focus on your future with them.
I also love, this is another expertly done thing by Wildbow with the Agnosia and everything, where it's like, okay, well, what's something we remember? That time when we fought Empire 88. And Bonesaw's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And we as readers are like, yeah, Tattletale wasn't there.
I was like, what a random thing for Taylor to choose. Yeah.
Right, but like that's the whole thing. Like she can't match the people to the events. It's great. It's so good. That was too soon to tip the hand that it was Bonesaw.
Right.
Another great connections beat is that like when Brian is like, hey, Lisa, you're over your skis.
I loved
right?
That.
That's another thing, right? So like now I'm imagining Tattletale on the roof with Trickster. She doesn't have anyone to tell her not to generate false positives. She's going to be going way out there.
I do wonder how her power is reacting to this. I bet it gives her, probably more or less the way Bonesaw guesses.
Yeah. Now, how did you feel about Tattletale and Trickster overruling Skitter?
It's the kind of thing Skitter likes to do to other people. Feels kind of fair.
Yeah, like Taylor is saying, like, I can't help the other friends. Let me do this for you. And then Tattletale says, fine. But she doesn't, right?
I mean, it's what she did to Victoria. She will lie to you if...
Lisa gets to be self-sacrificing, and she does not let Taylor indulge in that need to save other people.
Well, she knows that Taylor will not give up on her desire to save other people unless she literally has no choice because she's on a different rooftop.
Exactly.
Can't get back.
Right. Lisa is right. She has to lie to Taylor, and Taylor is the only one who had a chance of stopping the Nine or getting to Amy. Yeah. I mean, then she got zapped by Legend in Vista.
But now she's with two of the Nine, and she can kill them if she puts together who they are. Which I'm not sure. I was trying to decide what I would predict for this. If she's going to figure it out in the next chapter, or if it's going to be stretched farther. Because, of course... Before she figures it out, there's the tension of, like, what is she going to do for them without realizing? And there's a lot of damage she could do in connecting them to Coil, bringing them to Cherish, potentially, if Coil tells her where she is. But once she figures it out, there's a whole different kind of tension of, like, she needs to keep them from realizing that she knows, because they will just kill her if they realize she knows. And she needs to figure out how to take them out without tipping her hand.
Yeah.
And she needs to, like, go along with their plans well enough to keep them from suspecting, but she can't let them actually get what they want. So
those both sound pretty good.
I feel like we want to have some of both. So I don't really know the scope of the action that's coming, so I'm not sure at what point it will turn. Yeah. I kind of feel like we'll get, like, most of the way through the next chapter before she figures it out. Maybe she'll figure it out, like, as, like, the beat at the end of the chapter. But somewhere between halfway and the end of the next chapter, I think, is where she'll figure it out.
Ooh,
but that's just, like,
good specific
that's just my gut. It could go a different way.
Yeah. Well, it's nice, the tension is good, but it's nice to change things up. I like that.
Yeah, change up that tension.
The last thing I wanted to say about Tattletale and Trickster, going back to them, though, was I was struck by kind of a parallel between them, right? So it was nice to see Trickster not being selfish, right? That Sundancer gets out, right?
Yeah.
That made sense. And even the first iteration of it, Trickster is like on the dog nervous because he's the last one. So like
he's the leader.
He's not purely selfish, despite sort of the fact that he's like, you look out for your own, like, well, whatever, just make your choices. It's fine. Live with your choices. I was struck a little bit, though, the sort of like Taylor leaves. They all know that she's going off on a futile quest to save everyone. And Lisa's like, her plan's not going to work. Like, tell her I'm sorry. And then Trickster and Tattletale are left on the roof. And it reminded me a little bit of Trickster's paternalism towards Noelle. That Tattletale and Trickster, both in their different capacities as a leadership force in their groups, are willing to, like, make these calls on behalf of everyone. And as you say, Skitter does that too, but it's a kind of in a different way.
I wonder, so Regent doesn't stick around. Taylor sticks around even though she could escape. Regent, it seems like, just leaves. And I wonder if he's going to go for Panacea.
Interesting, yeah.
If he's in the air, like, she and Glory Girl might not have gotten inside anywhere, although Glory Girl was flying, so they probably could have. If Amy saw the miasma coming, she might have had Glory Girl fly her into the air. And so, like, the four of them, if you count Chatterbird as one of the four, could be, like, up in the air somewhere, figuring out what's going on down below. They might be able to help solve the problem.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Which would be especially good because, like, Amy can't heal herself, and, like, maybe Gru can heal her.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. And, I loved, like, the imagery that we get now that Taylor has Atlas. Like, she can float above the city and kind of see everything. It's so cool. I love that Taylor is able to use her new mobility to do the same move that Velocity did with Trickster in the Leviathan attack, where like Velocity was grabbing someone from the water, getting warped back with Trickster, and like doing that over and over again.
Yes, a little slower, but still good.
So she kind of does the same thing with Trickster here.
Yes.
And the miasma, like, it's so chilling. The description is so good. And like miasma, of course, because of how it is physically, has like the double meaning of like fog with bad vibes, right? Basically. So like, it's perfect. And then I was thinking so much about how like this would be so hard to adapt visually. Like you could obviously do it. I think it would be more fun in animation. But like
definitely.
This altered state works so well in prose in a way that it wouldn't quite, come across and have the same effect in a visual medium. And so I love that, like, I love the choice to kind of like explore that.
I can't remember what I was listening to. It was like one of our Arc 12 episodes. That's where I am in my listen of our episodes. Where I was talking about like, oh yeah, but the Undersiders don't have a flyer, and like, I like made a couple of comments that like looking, I was like, oh, I didn't know about Atlas. Like that was like very on the nose what I said. It does make a big difference that they have 2 flyers right now, but I don't think Shatterbird is sticking around.
Yeah.
I guess what Regent would probably do is go to Coil. Although if Coil is like, I don't think he's like in an airtight underground base. And actually what Bonesaw says, that like, oh, he won't be affected. It's like probably not true.
Interesting, yeah.
But like Regent is going to have to lock up Shatterbird eventually to sleep. So that's presumably something he's moving towards.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Either that or he'll have to have her kill herself before, he needs to sleep.
Yeah,
not great outcomes.
I did really like the beat with Legend and Vista, where they're like facing off against each other. And Vista's like, I'm gonna turn my back and run. If you try shooting me in the back, I'll show you what I can really do. And then Taylor notes a few pages later that Legend was blasting her until she stops moving and she runs away. Legend did not like that threat at all. She's like, what if this one's Bonesaw? Oh well. Zap, 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 zap. Setting his lasers to stun. I almost had the thought that, like, Gru being warm almost seems wrong. I feel like his embrace would be, like, cool.
Well, I was curious if he was going to be described as having a scent. Which, I mean, I guess his clothing and stuff has a scent.
That's so creepy.
Yeah.
So creepy. Oh, I also love that Taylor's narration does not refer to them as Gru and Tattletale until after the hug.
Right, yes.
She, there's a moment when
she's like, okay, I'm going to believe this.
She accepts it.
Like, I don't think she's going to notice the no swearing thing because she would have to have knowledge that she doesn't have to, or be able to access that knowledge.
Right. Oh, no, that's such a good point. That's just for the reader.
That's just
pure
for
dramatic
us.
Irony.
But also, like, Bonesaw, get your acting together.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I feel like A couple little observations. We saw sheets of paper frozen in time, so Clockblocker is free, but presumably agnostic.
Yes, agnosiac.
Speaking of Amy's relevance, Sundancer is like, yeah, well, Leviathan broke half the bones in my body.
Oh, yeah.
And she got healed. It's like, Amy is such an asset, right? Like,
seriously.
Despite all the stuff that we're saying about her, it's like, you really got to keep her on side because she's so useful. Yeah. I thought we talked about Gru's like plan for the worst thing already, which I loved. And Aisha being annoyed about it. There was the bit where they're talking about what Bonesaw can do, and they're like, yeah, it's not just going to be power nullification. Skitter's partially immune anyways, which was like a fascinating way for Lisa to have parsed that detail, like in retrospect. And like, she's not immune to whatever this is.
Nope. Can't even recognize Bonesaw.
Anyway, I mean, I know you're really eager to find out what happens next. So I think we should just... Any final predictions?
I feel like I predicted enough.
Yeah. The next chapter starts. Your powers are working all right?
Oh, I wonder if she's saying that to them. I mean, I guess she could be saying it to, quote-unquote, Gru. Or they could be saying it to her. I think it's probably one of them saying it to her. Yeah.
Intriguing.
Yeah. Where's Atlas?
With them.
With them? Yeah, she's not flying, though. She's walking with them.
Yeah. Trundling along.
Yeah.
What a good boy.
Oh, the best one.
I don't think the agnosia is affecting him. So
it doesn't seem like it.
As long as we can get him a cheeseburger, he'll be okay.
Yeah, he's going to need to have his human dinner soon.
They can all die and we can have Atlas POV.
That would be fun.
Atlas and Emily Pigo. Team up.
Oh man, she doesn't trust anyone either. She's got bombs. Maybe she used all her bombs. We can hope. Well, I guess we'll find out.
Next time.
On Inchworm.
Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildvote. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.